We are live in Cape Town at the Sailors Terrace, right in the belly of the ocean race, together with Wave Makers United. Could we give a round of applause for our organizer, please? Thank you. Today marks what is the penultimate meeting of the UN2023 Gamechanger Challenge. It is an arduous but super inclusive competition that has seen 200 teams from over 60 countries battle it out for a space in the top 5 who will present in New York at the UN 2023 Water Conference. Before we start, I want to first give a word of thanks to IHE Delft, the Institute for Water Education, for helping the Wavemakers team put this event together. And I will very briefly let you know about Wavemakers United. Their goal is to inspire, empower, and educate youth to tackle global water challenges. As such, this challenge seeks to breed practical solutions, draw from a global network of stakeholders, researchers, provision makers in this line, and to leverage it in a way that can affect long-lasting change. Our program today will see us go through a few different points. We are going to start off with a masterclass in the interest of time. We are joined by a very esteemed group of people who are involved in the ocean race. One of them is an active coach for a team that's competing. The other two have previously participated in the challenge before. One of them flew over 72 hours to be here with us today. I hope you feel rested and not too jet lagged. We will then go into announcing the top 5 teams out of these 200. We will let you guys know a little bit about them, hopefully get some reactions and impressions from the teams who have made it. We're joined by at least one of the competing teams in this room as well, so look out for them. And that will take us into the Adopt an Idea portion of this event, which allows everyone in this room to network directly with some of the teams who have competed in this challenge, perhaps find a way to take on the idea into your own professional space, whether you're in the private sector, public sector, it doesn't matter. There are always ways you can collaborate with these guys. And finally, we will move into signing of an MOU under the Water Action Agenda, which will be presented as well to the UN in New York next month. To get straight into it, I would like to welcome the co-moderator for this panel. His name is Stefan.
Is it there, Stefan?
I think it's here. Stefan Koppers.
Good notes over there.
Yes, and we know that the Dutch are here because every man around me is like 6'5".
I can do it.
Yeah, better. And also,
can we fit in one shot, you think?
are we in the shot together?
Is it there?
Okay, great. And our panelists or the masterclass hosts who are in this room, you may also come up to the stage to join us. I'll start off by introducing Mr. Manuel Jackson. He's over there. He specializes in technical vocational education and training. Go ahead. Even shorter than me, thank God. And works at Stellenbosch University, partner of POVE, and also IHE Delft. There you go.
I have a question as well. Did this man ever had applause from people from India, Nepal, Cambodia, all around the world? Did you ever had applause from so many people around the world?
Wow.
How does it feel?
Yeah, well, that's
Wait.
unimaginable. Unimaginable.
Unimaginable. Good word to describe it. Thank you so much. You may take your seat then. And Stefan, you can introduce the other two.
I take it away directly. Because in this place, you can see behind you, people at home, there are 5 boats here in Cape Town, and they are trying to get to finish in Europe in a couple of months. They are trying. They did not yet finish it. We have one girl in this place did finish the race already. I want to applause for Sarah Haasreiter. There she goes. And she did finish the race, and that was, of course, a good thing. But some boats, there were fights on the boats and like big things. But you can only finish a race with a good coach, a mentor coach. I am Rijke.
Thank you.
And actually, I want to start with showing a video of their office. Is there a video we can show to see their workspace?
This race is probably the most epic thing you can do as a sailor.
We go to places where no one else would go.
You'll be probably frightened at times, scared, worried. You'll hate it. You'll absolutely despise the fact that you're involved.
You are pushed to the limits without sleep in such harsh conditions. No one else on the planet gets to do that kind of stuff.
It's because I love to be on the ocean, being one with nature.
It's a 9-month race, it's 45,000 miles, and it doesn't stop. You know, it's 24/7.
Why you want to?
I think for myself and for a lot of other sailors and people that, you know, have extreme environments as their office, I think people really enjoy the challenge for themselves and for others. And I think one of the things I enjoyed the most was seeing how a team could come together and produce such a phenomenal effort and have the results the way that we did. And when I sailed around the world, I sailed with all women. So it was a really inspiring circumstance to be in the middle of the Southern Ocean in a crash, and it's just us. And so relying on one another within a team is really fantastic. The pain is, you know, we all understand that when we're striving for something, whether it's a college degree or climbing a mountain or sailing across an ocean, you don't feel pain that you normally would, because you have a bigger objective and you're putting most of the things in your own life to the side in order to prioritize the goal and the thing that you're working towards. And there's other people relying on you. So even if you're hurt or injured, at the moment where your team needs you, you're able to push through. Yeah.
Instant cold.
What's that? Can I stand cold water? Yeah. Oh, you want to? Yeah, I mean, I'm quite used to being uncomfortable, so.
Be my guest.
They're not reacting at all. Yeah, we have a boat with sailors to each other, different types, different characters. There's only one people in this place who can put all those people together. Can we give the microphone to Ayam Rijke? How you can get all those characters on a small boat together to sail around the world in 9 months? That's incredible. How?
So the biggest difficulty, I think, and I think that's the same for all of you, is to make this machine, because those boats are machines, yeah? To make those boats sailing fast, you need a very intelligent team on the boat. So in the old days, you could sail a boat with a skipper and a navigator, and those two were the management team, and they kind of decided everything.
Oh, we swap microphones.
Thank you.
They don't want to hear me again.
No, that's it. And they kind of decided everything. And but then you have a small perspective. So you only have the mind and the perspective of the skipper and the navigator. On those boats, because they are terribly complicated, and as Sarah told us, the circumstances, the context in which they have to sail is also terribly complicated. You hire yourself a crew with different specialties. So there's a lot of diversity in those crews, like all of you work in a lot of diversity. And then I don't mean demographic diversity, like men and women and age differences, but especially cognitive diversity, so different thinking styles, different knowledge, different experiences, different behavioral styles. And when you have a lot of different people in your boats, you get a lot of different perspectives, different ideas, different ways to sail that boat really fast. But all of us know that our brain prefers to sail the oceans in a team of clones. People who look the same, think the same, behave the same as we, because that's kind of easy. So how to sail in such a diverse team, like all of you, how to work in such a diverse team and to innovate, to make new water solutions possible, to sail this boat really rapidly. That is essentially what I do. And what I do is simply two things, is helping people to get to know themselves, know what they need from their surroundings and from themselves to get the best out of themselves, but also know their default patterns. So what do you do when you are in a really bad place? What is your natural pattern to behave when you're stressed or extremely cold or dehydrated or anxious or really tired? And when you know that and you make that known to your team members, you are able to save each other, to help each other, to call each other out, and to design together, not just for individuals, but also for this diverse team, a context, a team culture, a team identity, in which all of us are challenged to get the best out of us as a team. So know yourself, know each other, and create best practices. That is essentially what I do. It's true for sailors, but I know it's also true for all of you. Yeah.
So, thanks for that. I want to go back to the boat, because this is the coach. Back to the boat. I hear a skipper, a navigator, a lot of crewmen. How does it work on the boat? Are you going to deck, 4 or 5 hours on deck, and then you go off to the hotel or something, or you sleep? Can you tell me about it?
That's the ideal
We can switch microphones, by the way. Wait.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I love this game. Yeah, ideally you would, be on deck and then go to a hotel later on to have a nice dry bed with a fixed toilet and lights, but that's not how it works. So when the boats are racing from point A to point B, and they stop, several times around the world. So if they just sailed from Spain to Cape Town, you're actually in rotating shifts. So right now the boats are doing 3-hour watches. So that means every 3 hours a new person comes up on deck. Then when you go off watch, each person has different roles within the boat, like whether you're a medic or you're a mechanic or you work on the engine or you fix sails. If something goes wrong, that then becomes your job. So sometimes you don't actually get sleep in the time that you're allotted. So that's one of the big challenges with this race, is that sleep deprivation is a really, really big part of the challenge. And these boats, you can see how big they are, how big the sails are. When a sail change needs to happen, everyone needs to be woken up. And so if you're going through a really difficult transition zone, maybe you don't sleep for 16 hours. And then sometimes it can get worse than that. And when that builds after days and days and days, people can get grumpy. There can be tears when you're woken up and you haven't really slept for 12 days straight. So you're not just dealing with the challenge of sailing the boat and sailing the boat fast. You're also dealing with the challenge of existing as a human being in an environment where everything about being a human being is supposed to be secondary to the boat going fast.
Thank you so much for that answer. And this reminds me of a topic we've been talking about a lot, which is this idea of high sport. The concept that says to achieve the goal you've set out for yourself, you require a team, you require coordination, people need to play roles, and you need to be able to sort of train each other up and make sure that you can rely on one another when you're in the middle of an ocean. I want to tie that into the theme of the day, which is about water security, sustainability, etc., by bringing in Mr. Jackson to the conversation. Manuel, would you please share with us a little bit about your work? What is exactly the sphere of vocational training, and how do you think it all ties into this?
Thank you very much. I actually like the term which you used earlier on, and that is certainly high speed and really, performing in high a level of sport. In our environment, universities have always played that role, particularly in terms of research and innovation, particularly in terms of technology. And in terms of our work, we focus a lot on the area of vocational education and training. And that is really to establish strong partnerships between universities and VET institutions, and also employers as well, to promote increase development of skills, particularly within students at VET colleges. Thank you. And so in the last 3 years, we've established and focused quite extensively in infrastructure investment at some of the colleges. I can mention 3 of them. We've invested in high technology-based horticulture greenhouses at 3 of the locations in South Africa. And one of them is in a very rural, remote area in South Africa. And so fundamentally, our focus is specifically on vocational education and training, and certainly forming strong collaborations between the universities, colleges, and also the private sector.
Just a follow-up question for you. I know that there is a large dimension of local involvement and youth. Can you shed a little bit of light on why that's important in this space?
Okay. That's a very good question. For us, it's quite important, particularly in rural areas, to certainly form strong collaboration, because often you find in the rural areas and in remote villages, the question of access becomes quite key. Hence, therefore, some of the work that we've done is specifically in terms of promoting online training by using a cloud-based Moodle platform. And what is very interesting is that, and I'm glad that we have this conversation now within this forum, because we have just now started, in a few months ago, we started a new project, which is an EU-funded project, which specifically focused on the establishment of platform for vocational excellence. And this platform brings together a number of colleges and universities, particularly industry players as well, particularly in the area of water resource management. In Europe, there are 4 of these vocational centers of excellence, and they are spread across Europe. And our focus was specifically in this project is to develop a center for vocational excellence in South Africa. And so we've made some strides up to now. We are now in the process of establishing an MOU amongst a number of colleges. And of course, we're planning our launch within May this year. And certainly this will be one of the first EU-funded centers of vocational excellence in South Africa. And of course, our focus is not just to work within a South African environment, but also within a SADC environment. So we're very excited, and we have a number of institutions in Europe who are part of this initiative. There's Mendeloo University in Europe. There's Maastricht School of Management, Maastricht University, part of this initiative. And certainly, if I look at the last 2 years, we've launched a number of initiatives involving rural communities. And certainly we are proud to say that the work that we're doing at the moment is at ministerial level. We've had some of our ministers being involved in some of our launches. And certainly there's a number of VET institutions that are now also coming on board. Thank you.
Yes, I got just 5 seconds ago an app, WhatsApp, from Charlie Enright. He's a skipper of 11th Hour Racing, and actually he texted me, you should go to him in 5 minutes. Stay around, because we want to see you for one question. So coaching a boat is easy when it's a walk in the park, of course. Everybody can keep coach a team which is going well. But only when shit hits the fan, then your job gets interesting, I think. Should we see the water problems around the world also as a challenge, you think?
Can you say that again?
Should we see the problems with water around the world, the pollution and...
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely. And I 100% disagree that coaching or focusing at the mental fitness is only necessary when the shit hits the fan, when something goes really wrong. It's a sailor's language, huh? When something really goes wrong, because never wait till that happens. The funny thing about mental coaching, about psychology, about training, all the stuff Sarah highlighted, is that we can grow our mental muscles. We are able to design our own compasses, knowing how do we want to be, which strength we want to build, and what are our default patterns. So when it's going to get tough, what do we tend to do? How do we make ourselves little? If you know that, you have a compass to sail on, to navigate on. And you are able to realize that when it's going to get tough, what is your normal behavior? So what is your not so effective behavior to cope with difficult situations? If you know that, and you trained the more effective behavior, you are able that when the going gets tough, create a little bit of light between you and your automatic pattern. And because you trained the other leg too, you are able to stand on that other leg and show more effective behavior. That is true for all of us individually, but it is especially true for a team. So if you start helping out a team, when it's done, when there's a conflict, when everything went wrong, it is a lot of hard work. But when you start out training, all of us, like we're working now, or start new innovations or new collaborations, and we simply dedicate a little bit of time of what do I need to be effective in this team, and what do you need, and how can we work collaboratively to create a situation in which all of us can display the best of ourselves. And then when something goes wrong, sit again. Have a proper discussion about it and think how to solve it next time. You start training that muscle. And on those boats, when something goes wrong, they always have something to fall back on because we already experimented it. Hallelujah. I have to go.
Thank you. Can we give...
See you later.
Go back.
Thank you for meeting you.
Back to Charlie. Yes. Thanks for today. So I got a question to you because... about water, talking about water, there's no lack of water in the boat, in the ocean. But how do you get sweet water on the boat? Like drinking water?
Drinking water. So on board the boats, we do desalination. And so we filter the salts out of the water, making it fit for drinking. And then we add our own minerals.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's tasty?
Yeah, it tastes like nothing. It's completely stripped of everything, which is why we have to add minerals back in.
Okay, so we should make king size water makers to put in Kenya or something. You think it will work?
Yes, but unfortunately, to desalinate seawater, ocean water, it uses a lot of fuel essentially. So on board, the water maker is run by the generator. Which is why you see in many different places around the world, we don't want to use fossil fuels to necessarily create clean water. So that's been one of the biggest challenges, is making that a more fuel efficient process, or alternative energy process using things like tides, solar power, wind generation, things like that.
Okay, so there's water on board, but do you take a shower and everything?
No. No. I mean,
so you're 30
kind
days,
of.
40 days on the water and no shower?
No, you shower with a bucket of salt water at some point if you can. And then you have maybe 1 liter of fresh water that you're allowed to shower with, but you would never do it every day. It might happen once every 10 days. Sometimes you can go as long as 20 days without.
No way.
Yep.
No way. Somebody willing to step on the boat for the 40 days? Having no shower? But did it change your mind? Did you start taking less showers in your own country as well after?
Yeah, actually, it's really amazing when you have a limited supply of resources on board for such a long period of time. When you come back to shore and you could just turn a faucet on and it's free flowing clean water, it's almost like mind bending that you can use. There's so many resources that you don't need, but that we think we need. So yeah, definitely going back to shore life and understanding, like leaving lights on, leaving the faucet on when you brush your teeth. You don't do that anymore after you've, been on a mountain or sailed on a boat where water was a limited resource.
Yeah, because you tell me a mountain, because after sailing around the world, you were not finished with your adventures. What happened?
No, I kept sailing. But I decided to try to set a world first record to be the first female to sail across every ocean and climb the highest peak on each continent.
What's wrong with you?
I have no idea. I just really don't want an office job, if I'm honest. And I thought, this sounds like a great challenge. No, it was more sailing around the world is so incredibly difficult, and the ocean race is known as the Everest of sailing, so then I thought maybe I should climb Mount Everest afterwards, because sometimes as a female in this sport, it's really hard to find opportunities. And the sport itself has been working really hard on creating more opportunities for women, and sometimes I just wanted to go out and create my own opportunity, so decided to climb mountains.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And after months without a shower on the boat, you go climb mountains. How's the sanitation on the mountains?
It's a lot of the mountains, you're boiling water or boiling snow to create water. You have to find a clean snowbank for that to happen. So on different mountains, human waste is handled, or even food waste is handled in a very different way. We can climb mountains with a leave no trace policy, which means everything you take on the mountain, you take off. So if you don't finish your bowl of porridge, you can't just throw it outside into the snow. It becomes a contaminant. You don't have the bacteria at high altitude to break down food matter or fecal matter. So when I climb a mountain, we actually remove all of our feces, leftover food, everything. We take it off the mountain with us. It's frozen.
And also your poo?
Yeah.
You bring it home?
Yep, you have to take it off the mountain. It gets on the airplane with you, on the glacier, to go back down to a lower altitude to be disposed of properly by the park rangers.
And how do you know it's yours?
Your little name is on that little bucket, so there's no way around it.
Okay, sanitation problems, that's also. I want to know if you are willing to go climbing with her after this jet. Again.
Maybe I should have asked if you attempt to climb K2, I will certainly tell you.
Okay. No, thank you. Not K2.
Manuel, while you hear Sarah's anecdotes and experiences of intentionally subjecting herself to really rigorous, difficult, challenging environments where lack is probably the main theme, how does that make you think about the realm of work that you do, especially in this country, in this region, needing to find innovation solutions, to educate people, to include people?
Yeah, I like that question. I will perhaps maybe answer it in this way, that the only way we can bring about change, is really through innovation. But not so much innovation in a sense of bringing about new ideas and coming up with new areas of research. But most importantly, is how do one really, roll out that innovation and really the speed to market. And most importantly also, is how do you bring the community as part of that? and how do you cascade your innovation across a spectrum of different stakeholders, both horizontally and vertically as well. So for me, that is really true innovation. And I think for us, and I think the role model, the kind of idea I'm picking up from you is really operating at extreme levels and really making sure that you involve all the relevant stakeholders in that process. And of course, in that comes also quite a huge amount of effort, and also bringing people on board, motivating people, identifying the right people to drive different activities and processes. But certainly for us, innovation will really need to be taken at a much, much faster and higher level. And certainly within our environment, there's certainly a huge amount of positive and people that really want to play a positive role, in our activities. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a question to the both of you. Testing. Thank you. What exactly inspired both of you to end up doing the work that you do? Did you look at the world and say, it needs me, I have to do this, I want to inspire people, I want to, or how did you fall in?
Do you want to answer that one first?
Sure.
Okay.
This is going to be a really big roundabout way, but when I was going to university for my undergraduate degree, I actually studied international studies with a regional focus in Africa, and I had quite a few internships in East and West Africa and Southern Africa. And I worked with the social side of HIV/AIDS. And I had an internship in the Caribbean working with the disease again. And while I was there, I started sailing. And I really looked at sailing as a means to an end. I wanted to keep adventuring around the world. And what I ended up finding is that by me going and doing these different challenges, it gave me a platform to talk about bigger issues. So it put me on stages because I was able to go through these tough challenges in order to talk about bigger topics. And so when I came here with the Volvo Ocean Race in 2014-15, we had an outreach situation where we talked to young girls about access to menstrual hygiene. And then when I started climbing mountains, I partnered with a charity called World Hope International. And when I climbed mountains, I raised awareness of the challenges of access to clean water. And that charity actually, we raised about $60,000 for deep water wells in West Africa. And so these challenges are a very personal thing for me to see what I'm capable of, but it's given me a bigger platform to talk about things that are much bigger than myself, because the challenges that we've talked about to sail around the world or to climb these mountains, I choose to do that. And there's so many people in this world that suffer on a daily basis or have very difficult challenges just to exist, and they don't choose that. So I know that I'm coming from a very privileged place, so I've wanted to use that privilege to speak about bigger issues.
How would you translate that into advice for anyone who's watching you and does want to make a change in the world?
I think we can all leverage whatever we have, whether it's passion, whether it's a skill, to help others, because one thing sailing around the world, you understand how interconnected our planet is and our people are. And it seems very out of touch when you get onto an airplane in one place, you watch a couple movies, take a nap, and you wake up in a whole other country and you think that there's so much separating you. And when you sail from one place to the next, you realize the effort that it takes and the connection that we all have. And water, to me, is one of the things that connects our planet and our people and is essential for all of us. So it's about leveraging whatever you have to help the greater good.
Perfect. Thank you. And speaking of leveraging whatever you have.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll probably say that for me, if I go back a number of years ago, I was extensively involved in the automotive industry, and that was very much in technology and rolling out technology in various automotive original equipment manufacturers. And of course, my focus was always, particularly in terms of my postgraduate studies, was always on collaboration. That was for me key. And certainly, if one look at now in our environment, I believe that collaboration are key, are important, and hence, therefore, for us, collaboration with people, institutions. This morning, for instance, we worked on a collaboration between some industry players, big suppliers of horticulture produce, together with us as the university and also the college as well. So for us, really, it's about collaborating, bringing partners together, and really create impact. And that, for us, is quite key. So for me, that is what drive one is to say, you know, how can you bring institutions together to create impact?
Thank you so much. And what would your piece of advice be then to anyone who wants to make an impact in the world?
I would certainly say that I think it's of course start with good ideas, but second, it also is about bringing the right partners and people on board, and really, you know, working extremely hard. That's my advice at the moment.
I like that last bit, working extremely hard, which is something these two panelists have in common. Ladies and gentlemen, we will open to a Q&A. Anyone in the audience, feel free. And also those of you watching at home, I believe we can trace your questions and have them asked on your behalf. So please feel free to send them through in the chat. I see a hand up already.
Thank you. So thank you very much, both of you, and the previous speaker as well. I'm Chris White. I'm with the African Circular Economy Network. I need to ask a couple of things. So Sarah, first of all, avoid yellow snow, but also just, you know, teamwork, social development, blah, blah. Was there any time you wanted to throw somebody off board, and how did you solve getting around that? Manuel, just in terms of you, I think that the issue around vocational training is critical to us in terms of water, the water sector, the blue environment economy, the green economy, the circular economy. Everybody wants a degree. Everybody wants an office job. We need more vocational training. We need more hands-on skills, artisanal training. How is this program going to try and boost that? You know, in the recycling sector, the water sector, the energy sector, infrastructure, we just cannot get artisans anymore. Everybody wants to be a manager. So vocational training is absolutely important. What is this going to do to drive that?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. You were asked, if I'm correct, you're asking what are going to be the driver. Okay. I will certainly, if one look at our environment, you know, there are certain policies that support us in terms of creating critical mass and creating partnership between universities, colleges, and the private sector. So first, there is some supportive or support mechanisms at the moment. For us, it's going to be critically important, and that's what we're doing now, and we now focusing on that extensively, and that is through our platform for vocational excellence. To really bring industry on board and really to create a very strong, close fit between training providers, which is the VET institutions, and also the private sector as well. I think we've got a legacy over the last number of years where there's not much close collaboration and relationship between technical colleges and also the private sector as well. So for us, most important is to develop confidence between colleges and private sector, etc. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you want to follow up? Are you okay?
No. There's a few people I could have left on a mountain, potentially. But really, I think one of the most important aspects is in these extreme places, and there's so many stressors, and people really behave differently and react to stressors in very different ways. High performing teams, people, have exercised that muscle of, resilience so often that you're able to mitigate it a little bit. Whereas climbing a mountain, a lot of people are just really passionate about climbing, and you end up, climbing a mountain together, and it's a little bit harder. But really, I think one of the most important aspects is that everyone can't be 100% all day, every day. And when you're sailing around the world, and even just on one of these legs, you're 28 days, 24 hours a day, you're asking people to perform. And having that space held to understand when, like, that person hasn't really had a lot of sleep, they're having a bad day, something went wrong and it was their fault, so they're, a little on the back foot right now. Understanding in the team dynamic that's why you have a team, right? You're relying on the resiliency of all of you so that when someone is performing, underperforming, or having a bad day, other people can step up for them. And so it's really about just having that compassion and empathy that we're all humans and we're all fallible, and, understanding that dynamic. And to me, it's kind of the same in like an office environment. People have private lives, and we don't always understand, what's happening in their private home with their family or otherwise, and just giving people the space to be human is sometimes, I think, one of the most important aspects to a well-functioning team.
And a well-functioning marriage. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give a round of applause to our speakers? In the interest of saving time, we will need to close, unfortunately, but please feel free to network and speak with them. They are around. If not, try to write through, and I'm sure they'll be in touch with you. We have a beautiful pair of gifts for the two of you that have come in from the...
with me.
It's a Dutch treat, exactly. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
We are right on time, ladies and gentlemen, for our main event. I did a drum roll. I appreciate it. I'll need your help just now. We are about to announce the top 5 teams in this competition, remembering that these are the last remaining teams in the cut after 200 from 62 countries have battled it out. These 5 will be taking their solutions and presenting to the United Nations at the UN2023 Water Conference in New York at the UN HQ next month. And before we go into that, I also want to share that it is not over. The 195 other solutions are still very much in play. Their pitches, their videos, their profiles are all available on the Wavemakers Gamechanger Challenge website. And obviously, we will be doing some matchmaking hereafter. Some of these teams are here to pitch and will present to you. They'll have spaces to meet with you in private at our matchmaking segment as well. So we encourage everyone to perceive this as an everybody wins situation, because success for anyone who wants to make an impact in the world is a success for the entire world regardless. So caveats aside, I would like to introduce on stage the chair of the youth jury. His name is Andile Koza. While he takes the stage, we are also joined online. Can we confirm if he is with us by Pablo? Mr. Pablo, let's say that, okay? We'll make sure his name is available in full to those who are interested in networking. Apologies, Mr. Pablo. I have not had the chance to hear you pronounce it yourself, so I will not embarrass myself by trying. So the youth jury is going to take you through some notes as to how they got to this. So I'll hand over to Andile.
Good day, everyone. As Mark has mentioned, my name is Andile Koza, and I'd like to deliver the jury report. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge Mohammed and the technical team at Wave Makers for making our judging experience seamless and efficient. Daphna for the lines of communication, and last but not least, Tilly for the outstanding job in guiding the Wave Makers United brand to new heights. Special mention to Karen, who's in Netherlands, and all other Wave Makers who I've failed to mention. I would also like to recognize all the youth jury colleagues, notwithstanding the fact that we all have our daily responsibilities. Thank you. Thanks to your time and effort, 20 teams were selected to continue with the challenge. The youth jury represents a global community of young professionals whom wish to make an impact, whom have devoted their time to this challenge. We hope that this group will stay connected, underlined by a common cause for water solutions. On behalf of Wave Makers United, we thank you for your very important contribution. I would be remiss not to extend a vote of thanks to all 200 participants of the Gamechanger Challenge. I'd like to cite a famous African quote. It says, "Carry your own water, and you will remember every drop." That quote has endured plenty mileage under my tenure as a water entrepreneur. Its importance illustrates the journey you have all begun, carrying your own water. So win or learn, your journey begins here today because you are all winners. I'm here to articulate mine and my colleagues' experience as a panel of jurors, to find common ground between privilege and poverty, to provide a platform to the dreams and ideas conceived in unimaginable spectrums of circumstance, varying access to resources, university students, local communities, shop owners, environmentalists, some absent advice, others without amenities, but nonetheless all denominated by game-changing innovations. As representation of the transparency and accountability of the UN2023 Gamechanger Challenge, the youth jury and the expert jury both present a concluding report. 200 universities from 62 countries have participated in the challenge. You have shown an alluring and intrinsic motivation to develop ideas to impact your local communities emphatically. Let this be the conclusion of the challenge. Creating a platform for the participation towards a sustainable impact is far more important than winning. The central theme of the selection was local impact. Teams went to their local communities to give guest lectures and gain insight where local water challenges occurred. They submitted this in the form of an impact report as well as an explanation of their initial idea in PowerPoint presentation. The jury looked for innovative thinking, creativity, and the impact the idea would have on the local community. The 20 ideas are each smart innovations with high potential within the challenge and beyond. However, all other ideas should not be underestimated. Everyone can be a winner when it comes to creating local sustainability impacts. We hope that each team will keep spreading their impact in years to come. Thanks again to all the 200 participating teams. Know that the challenge is far from over. The real impact has already made up due to your efforts. Keep on making waves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andile. Are we joined by Pablo? Okay, no worries. we are joined by someone who can, in his place, make this address. We're joined by Shotska, who is a national kite surfing champion.
Thank you, everyone. And on behalf of Pavlo, I'll give you the report from the expert jury. In addition to the youth jury, the expert jury had the task to select the 5 finalists out of the 20 teams that joined the second round of the UN Gamechanger Challenge. A note of thanks to the expert jury, a team of 11 professionals who formed a diverse group based on their technical backgrounds, nationality and gender, and who devoted their time and energy to the challenge. Youth can change the world with their ambition, but we need intergenerational collaboration to enlarge our impacts. I thank all the experts for their participation. A difficult task, as well as inspiring to see so much innovation. In the short time of 2 weeks since the evaluation by the youth jury, the team took their ideas to the next level. This led to the submission of an impact video, giving us an insight in the water challenges within the local communities all over the world. Furthermore, their innovative ideas to solve these water challenges were explained in 5 PowerPoint slides and was further explained in a written implementability study. The ideas diverged from technical solutions, education programs to games. Each team was evaluated by 3 jury members using a grade form. A total of 246 points could be awarded, divided on different deliverables rated on a scale from 1 minimum to 10 maximum. All teams are considered winners, and we are glad to express our gratitude that no innovation will be lost. However, there are 5 teams that, in the eyes of the expert jury, are truly frontrunners, based on the creativity, originality, and the applicability of their solutions. Where others would only see problems, they envision solutions and possibilities to make their local community a better place and work towards a climate-resilient future where water plays a key role. Therefore, on behalf of the expert jury, I'm honored to announce and to present the 5 frontrunners of the UN Gamechanger Challenge. A little bit of sound. The 5 teams, in a random order, are The challenge continues as one representative of each team will have the opportunity to join the UN Gamechanger Challenge and Wet Skills USA and represent their team during the UN Water Conference in New York. Congratulations and good luck to your future endeavors, and especially good luck soon in New York. Regards from Pablo.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may notice some cheer in the back. One of the top 5 teams happens to be with us today. Congratulations, guys. Can we get a word from you? Would that be okay? We'd like your first impressions. Come on. You could tell us a little bit about the journey, how it feels to end up in this situation, and what you hope to achieve in the future.
So we had a very, okay, first of all, I'm Larissa and this is my team member, Shakina.
Hi.
So we had a very interesting journey. So we started off back in November, not really knowing where to go or the ideas that we were going to start thinking about. And then our idea originally came from Pretoria, where we are based. And in Pretoria and all over my home city, there's a lot of water pipes that just leaks and breaks. And we thought of all the pollution that South Africa has, which is a lot of plastic. And basically our idea focuses on taking this plastic and implementing it sustainably So we take the plastic, recycle it from the ocean, the beaches, everywhere, and turn it into 3 main products, namely water pipes, water floodgates, and tanks. And then the tanks can be taken to rural areas where they provide people with water, as well as dry agricultural areas where it can be reused, the water can be reused. And the water floodgates are taken to areas where floods occur, and then these floodgates help the water to be transported to dams and existing canals where it can be put to better use. And then the water pipes, we have a unique design for each water pipe, depending on the temperature and the depth which it needs to be implemented to.
And just to add on to what my friend here, Larissa, said, with our idea, we definitely wanted to focus on taking one problem and using that to fix other problems. So the one problem that we were mainly focused on was obviously trying to fix some of the water problems that we have in South Africa. And since South Africa is really diverse, and that doesn't just mean in terms of race or demographic differences, but that includes also in places like Cape Town, like this, where you see massive cities, but in the same province, you also have areas that have inaccessibility to clean running water in the exact same province. So we wanted to make sure and come up with a solution that would make sure that other people who don't have water can get water. And we also wanted to take another problem, as Larissa said, which is that of plastic pollution. Because like she said, as part of the journey into getting to this position, we had to do an outreach. And the outreach that we did was actually at an orphanage far off from where we live, which is Pretoria, South Africa. And there, as we were driving there, we saw lots of plastic pollution. And this is not just the reality of this one city that we went to, but it's the reality of countless cities in South Africa. So we thought, why don't we try to come up with a way to fix this plastic pollution while also fixing this water problem that South Africa has, and in the process fixing as well the problem of flooding, which is a very big reality for all of us nowadays, especially with climate change. And the main thing we wanted to focus on was the fact that climate change and the plastic pollution are irreversible problems. The damage has already been done, but we want to create a solution that can actually use these negative situations to better the lives of other people. So that was the main focus of our idea, and we're very grateful and very surprised to be here. And yeah, we're just glad that our idea was believed in, something that was just like born up off of a crazy brainstorming idea. So we're very happy to be here. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations, ladies. The sky is the limit. I look forward to seeing what comes next of your work, as I'm sure we all do. Before moving on to the next segment, I want to thank everyone who was involved in the competition until this stage. A special thank you to the coaches, the participants, both here and abroad, all of the ambassadors of this challenge and wave makers who have helped to propagate the message and get all of this involvement cemented. Thank you to the think tanks, the supporters, the financiers, IHE Delft, and to all of you, the attendees, for also giving us an audience at this important moment. Now, it's not all over. The 5 teams who are about to go to New York will not only be making presentations. Their proposals, their solutions, their ideas are to become actionable projects through what is known as the Adopt an Idea opportunity. So, what is known as the Wet Skills Program, right? And this is a sort of international competition that turns projects just like these into case studies where teams take it on almost as consultants to scale them, implement them, and turn them into real life practical applications. For the rest of the teams, we are interested in inviting you all to participate in what we call Adopt an Idea. To shed a little more light on what Adopt an Idea is all about, I'd like to invite Andile.
Hi guys. I think it's always best for initiatives like this to use a simple language so that we can all understand it. As we may all know, that adopting anything is not something that happens in a one-stage process. In this regard, we're going to try and create a new ecosystem between ideas themselves, but the gatekeepers, those that actually have access to making things happen or the implementation thereof. And for the UN2023 Gamechanger Challenge, looking for private sector organizations, knowledge institutions or NGOs to adopt an actual idea. Right now we're in Cape Town, and as Mark had mentioned, this is the preliminary before the Gamechanger Challenge in New York. So Cape Town in its sense has already created its own chapter towards what it is that we want to implement post New York City. In New York, another chapter will be written, but the most important aspect of the Adopt an Idea is that it carries on and gains more chapters thereafter. So what's expected of you? This would be speaking to the private sector organizations, knowledge institutions, so on and so forth. We are hoping that by coming on board, by endorsing such a concept, you will guide ambitious students towards successful implementation of their water-related ideas. Method of guidance can be both non-financial and financial. Connect the students to your local network of public and private sector organizations. But what's in it for you? You get in touch with the next generation of talent that's needed to ensure a climate resilient future. The opportunity to showcase your own innovations within the Wavemakers United Academy and other online events. Become a part of the global network of youth networks, knowledge institutions, sustainability champions, and other passions for water. And you would also join a global network of wave makers during local events that make impact, or during global events that showcase successful initiatives. So that's the Adopt an Idea part. We have the matchmaking aspect of it, which I hope Mark will then be able to articulate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andile. Yes, for the next segment of this program, we will be preparing for a matchmaking opportunity. You would have just been distributed or may be about to receive some cards where you can shortlist some of the projects that you may be interested in adopting. Now, we don't expect you to know the briefs and the details of every single project that has been involved thus far, so 200 of them. But in this room, we've been able to get at least 7 to make a 90-second pitch to you. So we'll ask you guys to note down, take advice, figure out any points of information you may want to ask. And when we break into networking at the end of this, they will spread themselves out to different tables and invite you, welcome any of you to engage them further. So we'll move into, thank you. And we'll move into then what is the on-site portion of this event. That being said, we are now going to disconnect from those who have joined us virtually as their business here is done for the day. Thank you so much to everyone who is online, to all of the participating teams, to the coaches and those involved all around the world. Please remember, for those of you who are online, to make sure that your profiles, your pitches, your videos, and any team information that you want the world to see is uploaded to the Gamechanger Challenge website. We have a lot of plans for follow-up with all of you. It is only this afternoon that we need to focus locally. Okay? So thank you very much, guys. Goodbye from Cape Town.